Hello, and Merry Christmas to all that have tuned in. I wasn't expecting many because it's, after all, Christmas Day and everybody's doing family stuff. But I figured since we're all supposed to be staying home and staying in our own little circles, then maybe more people might be more inclined to join me live. So, Merry Christmas to everybody. We are sort of dealing with the aftermaths of Christmas morning here, and we all had a very, very good Christmas and thoroughly spoiled, for sure. In fact, I've already enjoyed a dram of bottle of Tobermory 12. Or not a bottle, yeah, a dram of Tobermory 12, not a whole bottle. Merry Christmas, Jody and John. Merry Christmas, Mom and Greg, and to anybody else that has joined us. So here we are on day 12 of the 12 Drams of Christmas. And it was real special, exciting whiskey that I'm going to share with you guys in a few minutes here. But before that, I'm just going to recap the first 11 days real quick. And then we'll get into today's dram and the last and final one. I hope everybody's really enjoyed the 12 Drams of Christmas kits. And we'll be looking at doing something similar next year, maybe even something bigger. But it's a lot of work, so I'm still undecided on that one. Dan and Ellen, if you're on here too, welcome. And Merry Christmas to you and Liam and everyone else over on that side of the water. So, yeah, we started off back on December 14th. And whiskey number one, seems like so long ago, was the Glen Scotia Victoriana cast strength. Got a lot of really great feedback from that whiskey. And I think I may have opened up some people's eyes to Glen Scotia Distillery, which is fantastic because they're all great whiskeys. Number two was a solid Diageo kind of go-to whiskey at 40%. Craigenmore 12-year-old. Really enjoyed that. Great entry-level whiskey. And I think the price was right on that one as well, being under $100. Number three was Mr. or is it Sir Bob Dylan? Yeah, I think it's Sir Bob Dylan. But Mr. Bob Dylan's Heaven's Door Bourbon from Tennessee. And that one definitely got mixed reviews. There were some people that loved it and some people that hated it. Mom, just so you know, you're not alone in that department. I was talking with Taylor Darnell, our local whiskey pairing chef. Last night, she came and dropped by a little goodie bag to her door, and she had the same response that you did to the bourbon. So she wants to revisit it as well and see if she can pull something out of it that she enjoys. But for the most part, she did not. So to each his own. I'm not a huge bourbon fan either, but I actually didn't mind this one. I felt it was pretty good. Number four was the Kilchoman Macure Bay. Delicious Isla peated whiskey. Super good. And we'll definitely look at picking up another one of those for my shelf, although my shelf is looking pretty full these days, so I have to behave. Number five, our very own Vancouver Island's very own Shelter Point. It was the Collective. Again, that was a whiskey with a blend of 5 different casks from their warehouse, and it did a beautiful job in blending. It really showcased the quality of the blending that happens at Shelter Point, because it's like not just 5 different single malt casks. There was a wheat whiskey in there. There was an unmalted barley, a barley. I think there was even a rye in there. So, and then of course the quarter cask, Lefroy quarter cask in there as well. Quarter cask finish. So yeah, fantastic dram. And I don't think anything that's coming out of their warehouse these days is horrible. It's all fantastic, and it's only getting better. So that's exciting. Number 6 was another international whiskey. It was the Kaio, the Single, 7-year-old from Japan. And their sort of uniqueness that I wanted to share with you was that 3 months of the 6-month finishing in Mizunara Japanese oak is done on a ship in the ocean. So it's like maximizing its exposure to the salt water and salt air and all that goodness that comes with being close to the ocean or on the ocean. I imagine it was probably jostled a lot on the ship as well, which would be interesting to do some experimentation on to see if that changes things. Anyway, it was a really nice dram, and one of the few Japanese whiskeys I'd probably buy again. Number 7 was a dinger. It was Lagavulin 8-year-old, and it was basically a younger, more peppy version of the Lagavulin, the classic Lagavulin 16-year-old, and it was a joy. It was very, very good, and I got a lot of positive feedback on that one as well. I would be interested to know, actually, if you guys wanted to send me a note privately or anything like that, just to let me know what your favorite dram of the 12 days or 12 drams of Christmas were. It would be really kind of fun to do sort of little poll and see which was the ultimate favorite of all of them. Number 8 was the Loch Lomond 12-year-old, beautiful Highland malt from Loch Lomond Distilleries, and another sort of beautiful, sort of easy drinking, what I would call a daily drinker, or even to go further than that, what Taylor and I were discussing last night. She likes to consider some whiskeys more of like a Monday, Tuesday type whiskey as opposed to a end of the week kind of whiskey. And so that's interesting too, if you want to classify different drams. And that can be according to price point or style of whiskey or both. So that'd be kind of fun to explore on future tastings as well. Where was I? That was number 8. Number 9 was the Taiwanese whiskey from King Car Distillery called Kavalan Single Malt. And again, beautiful notes on that whiskey, and highlighted the fact that the whiskey matures a lot faster in a subtropical climate. And again, not everything coming out of that distillery is gold right now. So super popular, and unfortunately for that reason, a little bit higher priced. But I was honored to be able to share this one with you guys. Number 10, another beautiful Isla dram. For those Pete heads out there, this was the Lefroy Lore, and it was amazing. It's I was discussing with John and Jody, my whiskey taste buds, about Lefroy Lore and how they had read some, or at least one sort of negative review on it. And I think what happens is you have like Lefroy, you have this sort of cult following. And if anything that strays too far from the sort of typical Lefroy style can ruffle some feathers. And this one is definitely not your typical Lefroy. I think those sherry, being finished in the sherry butts, made a huge impact on the outcome of the flavor of this whiskey, and it was delightful. And so, although it may have ruffled some hardcore enthusiasts of that particular distillery, I think it's definitely one that stands out for me. Number 11, last night's dram. That's right. Was the Duncan Taylor, independent bottler Duncan Taylor, Invergordon Sherry Cask, 28-year-old. And this was a real treat, and basically the epitome of a Christmas dram, in my opinion. Again, getting a lot of real positive feedback on that one. It's super delicious, and I'm glad there's a bit of a heel left for me to go back to either tonight or tomorrow or over the holidays. Yeah, and that leaves us to today, which is also, in my opinion, another fantastic Christmas dram. It has ticks all the right boxes as far as what a sort of this time of year kind of whiskey should be in my mind, unless you're drinking like a heavily peated one. So this one is a Glengarry 1999 wine cask. And people are doing the math. So this is distilled in 1999 and bottled in 2018. So people are doing the math and saying, okay, it's a 19-year-old whiskey. That's great. But, I mean, yesterday's was like 28-year-old. So what's so great about a 19-year-old whiskey with a wine cask finish? And it's like, well, okay, whoa. This is what's unique about this whiskey is it's not a wine cask finish. It's actually been fully matured for 19 years. And I'm shaking the table because I got my arms resting on it. It's been fully matured in a wine cask for 19 years from Chateau Lagrange winery. And that is really interesting because in my experience, even when finishing whiskey and wine, it can be very dicey and it can be very over-wined very quickly. Or can change within a matter of months and be over-wined very quickly. So I'm guessing the wine cask they use was probably a fairly tired cask for the whiskey to sit in there for 19 years and be this good when it comes out. And it sounds like something that would be really interesting for a place like Shelter Point or a craft distillery to sort of experiment with if they're willing to put something in a wine barrel for 19, 20 years and see what comes out. But yeah, beautiful notes on this whiskey. Blueberries, brambleberries, chocolate notes. Absolutely gorgeous whiskey. I'm in fact going to pour mine right now and we'll go through it together. So there it is in the glass. Beautiful, kind of rosy, not a rose, but like a reddy hue to it. So the tasting notes on the bottle, if I can read it, says burnt umber on the eye, dark cherry, chocolate. Yeah, definitely dark cherry. Chocolate, nutmeg, orange zest. I'm definitely getting orange in there as well. Lead to honey, ginger, ripe orchard fruits, and chocolate malt, culminating in rich, smooth, spicy oak finish. That is pretty much nail on the head right there. Definitely an orange and ginger spice in there. Nutmeg. Leon and Lydia came by the house last night to pick up a care package as well from Sherry Sakamoto. And we were talking about last night's dram and what I thought it would pair well with. And I've got a couple of different choices of whiskey and rum fruitcakes to go through over the holidays here. And I'm really looking forward to all of them. And thank you to all that supplied me with my sins, my sinful delights. But yeah, I really think this whiskey too would pair really well with something like a fruitcake, or like chocolate brandy beans, or even shortcake, any kind of Christmas goodies, really. I'm not picky. Jody says the grain whiskey from last night was the bomb. Absolutely, it was a sherry bomb, but it was, at that age, I found it was just so creamy and smooth. It wasn't like the Abelauer Abuna sherry bomb that's sort of like really strong. I mean, obviously the Abelauer is like a 60% alcohol, whereas this one, even though it was cask strength, had already gone down to like 42.7% at the time of bottling, and I think that was just perfect for that dram. It was delicious. This one too is wonderful. Yeah, so that's going back to what Jody said about the Lefroy lore. When reading reviews, always take it with a grain of salt, because that's one person's opinion, and you can be missing out on a wonderful whiskey if you just listen to a review and not to try it for yourself, which is really fun about the Whiskey Club. It allows you guys to try a whole bunch of different whiskeys that you don't have to go out and buy a whole bottle of to decide whether you like it or not. And that's like really the name of the game. And the reason why I do this is, well, first of all, I like whiskey and it's fun to drink with people, but but it's really fun to be able to sample whiskeys, myself included, through my whiskey journey without having to put out the big bucks for the drams. Awesome. I'm glad you guys liked last night's dram. Has anybody had today's dram yet, or are you guys waiting? Is this too early in the day for you? It's not for me, because I started with Bailey's in my coffee first thing. So nice. Awesome. I'm glad you guys like this one too. It's a wonderful whiskey. And I find, like I said, I'm super intrigued by the fact that it spent its whole life in a wine cask, never touching ex-bourbon or sherry or anything like that, and to still get that kind of a flavor profile. Very interesting. So for those of you who've been following along, I'm also going to be doing the last segment of the Kensington Wine Market Whiskey Advent Calendar. I will post that video later today and share it. Some beautiful drams in the last 5 as well that I'm looking forward to sharing. I haven't poured the last SMWS bottle yet. It's just behind me on the shelf beside my beautiful Brooklighty collection from Uncle Dan. Boy, I get spoiled. So Mom says, made some homemade gingerbread cake for dessert tonight. We'll be curious how it brings it to life. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I wonder if it'll bring the ginger and the ginger notes in the whiskey out even more, or maybe mute them and bring out more flavors of like the orange and nutmeg and whatnot, or chocolate even. It's funny because I get chocolate for sure, but it's not like it's more of a milk chocolate with like almost a nut, like a nutty milk chocolate bar or something like that, as opposed to like a dark chocolate. John and Jody rolled out of bed and into a dram of Lagavulin Distillers Edition. Beautiful. Followed by coffee and Bailey's. And now totally enjoying today's lovely dram from you. Awesome. Great stuff. Yeah. I'm going to actually have to curb the alcohol intake for a little bit, because I am going to have to drive at some point later today. But we'll get back to her. No worries. I still got a few more days off, so yay for that. I don't mind Christmas being on a Friday. That actually works out really well. So for those guys, for you guys that are following, going to be sending out some emails shortly regarding for those of you that are in the cask purchase program, the Shelter Point cask purchase, and also regarding the tasting in January, to try and get some more people signed up for that as well. I didn't want to bug people too much before Christmas. So we've been asked, where do we find this whiskey and how much? I purchased this whiskey again from the Strath. I don't know offhand whether it's still available there or not, or elsewhere. At the Strath, it was actually, I think it might be available at craft cellars in Alberta. And I purchased this whiskey for just over $355. So a little on the pricey side, but truly a special dram for sure. That just goes to show you the difference between a grain whiskey and a single malt when it comes to prices. You can get a 28-year-old grain whiskey for about $230, or you can get a 19-year-old single malt for closer to $400. But yeah, both incredible drams, and it was really fun. It was really fun to be able to share them with you guys. Anyway, I got the whole family on lockdown here while I'm live, so I'll probably sign off because Brandy's got to get ready for her work at the home. So she's gonna go and spread some Christmas cheer at St. Joe's Care Home at the Views, and then we're gonna have a late Christmas dinner. So when she gets off work at 9, we're gonna have dinner, so she doesn't miss out. Merry Christmas to you guys all, and if I don't see or talk to you guys before New Year's, I want to wish you guys a happy New Year's, a happy 2021, and all the best. And hopefully we can sit back at 2020 and pull some positives and be thankful for where we are right now and move forward. I'm really glad you guys enjoyed the calendar. And again, I want to hear from you guys to see what your favorite was. Maybe list your top 3 and rank them. That would be cool. All right. Happy Christmas, and talk to you guys soon. Oh, one more time. Okay. See you guys.